Hi, my name is Simon Collis. I'm editor of Motorboats Monthly. Today we're having a chat with Neil Northmore, who is one of the key fighters for the Red Diesel campaign. Neil works with the RYA as their government affairs advisor, and along with Howard Pudding at the BMF, they're probably the two people who've done the most to communicate all the issues concerned with Red Diesel to the government and to Europe. And I'm just going to get a quick update from him on where we stand now and what happens next.
I'm Neil Northmore, I'm the RYA Government Affairs Advisor, and I've been dealing with the Red Diesel derogation for the past 3.5–4 years.
And tell us, what is the situation now with Red Diesel?
The situation now with Red Diesel is that the European Commission has refused to extend the derogation. So the derogation officially ceases on the 30th, or has now officially ceased on the 31st of December '06. The UK now has a period of time in which to assess what transitional measures will be necessary to deal with the derogation, and it will then have to enact primary legislation in order to bring about any change in the current situation. But currently, right now, recreational boat owners can still buy and use red diesel.
And what do we know about what's going to happen next?
We don't know exactly what's going to happen next. The government does have to consult with organisations such as ourselves to assess what measures will be necessary in order to make the transition as painless as possible for the recreational boater. Obviously the government is constrained by some legal constraints as to what they can and can't do. But what we're looking for really is a pragmatic approach which will minimise the impact as far as possible on the recreational boating market.
I suppose the first question is, do we know for sure that we will be paying full price roadside diesel? Is that going to be the situation when the transition is over?
That's certainly one of the options. Obviously we are also exploring the other options as to whether it's possible to pay a slightly lower rate of duty, but it certainly looks very likely that recreational boat owners will have to pay the full road duty price on that fuel.
And do we have an idea of when that might happen?
Because the government needs primary legislation, it needs to bring it in through the finance bill. Now, it could do that this year, but it's more likely that it will happen next year, so in 2008. And then it will still have to give a period of time in which to bring the measures into force. So we're hoping that the earliest will be the end of 2008. But of course, if the government gets its act together this year, it's still possible to do 2007, although we think that's very unlikely.
Now, I've read the communication from the European Commission to the Treasury which said that they can no longer, the derogation was going to end. And in there it talked about the government's power to alleviate and mitigate the effects of the transition. What kind of thing do you think the government can do?
Those measures really, first of all, there's a period of time before the government has to bring the changes into force. So that we're in that period now. Some of the options that we are exploring with the government is whether recreational boat owners could still buy red fuel, although at a higher rate of duty. Obviously there may be legal implications to that, but it's certainly one of the options that need to be explored. So really we're urging government to do its due diligence on all the options to find out the one that's going to have the least negative effect upon recreational boaters and the boating market.
And obviously a lot of boaters are very concerned, rightly so, about this issue. What can people do if they want to make their opinions heard now? Is there someone to contact, or is it too late now?
Well, of course, because the government now has to go through a process of finding out what measures to put in place, there is still the option to go to MPs to make concerns known, but also to write to the RYA. We feel that we know pretty much what all the options might be and what the consequences are. But of course, if there's a huge body of public opinion, again, urging government to go down a certain route, then that may be quite compelling in terms of what the government eventually decides to do.
Neil, thanks a lot.
Thank you.